Welcome everyone to our live YouTube sending Befria Hongkong in conversation with Finn Lau that is here now, with also different human rights group. My name is Tao Chan. I'm the host today from Befria Hongkong, and we have Finn Lau coming from London. He is the founder of Stand with Hong Kong and more. And we have Aslan, Mongolian Culture Association in Sweden, and we have Matthias Björnestedt, that is the Swedish Tibet Committee, and then we have Kudubatsi, a fellow with big heart and activist, journalist, and author. And yes, so today we are here because of Finn Lau, of course. So Finn Lau, could you please introduce a little bit about yourself and why you are here in Sweden?
Should I look into the camera?
It's okay. You can look at me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, my name is Finn Lau. So I come from London, and actually I was one of the 10,000 arrestees of the Hong Kong movement back in 2019. And then I was one of the key players of the movement as well, because I proposed different global initiatives and ideologies that underpin the movement. So yeah, and this time then this is the first time that I visit Stockholm or even Sweden, because I want to propose some kind of parliamentary work in the Swedish parliament. Especially this year will mark the 25th anniversary of the Hong Kong handover. And today I'm honored to speak here with alongside with other allies.
Yes, and you arrived 2 days ago, right? And what have you done these 2 days?
Well, because of the arrangement by Befria Hong Kong, I have visited a think tank. Because of Kurdo, as I have met with different journalists and then some MP as well. So this is what I have done so far, and I have done a podcast as well, which should be released very soon.
That's great to hear. And Kurdo, you were named here. So could you please introduce a little bit about yourself and what you have done so far?
Well, I work with human rights questions, and I have followed China a very long time, and then I have been very interested in my specialty is the freedom of speech. This is very important for me, and the freedom of press. So when I see that China after 2013, when Xi Jinping became the president, I saw that now the country was going to have a kind of censorship. It was before Hong Kong problems, so I have, and I saw that the old China kind of old China was going to be quick killed in one way, and then also I followed the minorities' rights, because I have always been interested in minority questions and people for their language rights to their speaking of their language and their culture, and so China is a very interesting country, because they oppress people by many ways. Sometimes because of the language, sometimes ethnicity, but sometimes also because of the pluralism. They don't like pluralism. So in one way, and one Swedish citizen, Gui Minhai, was kidnapped by Chinese authorities in Thailand, in Pattaya, in October 2015. So China became one of my main countries to write about. But normally I write about international problems and many things. But I think I should stay here. You can speak more about Gui Minhai later, maybe.
Yes, thank you. And Matthias, you're here today to talk a little bit about, with the Hong Kong issue, but also about Tibet, right? Can you explain a little bit about your background and why we should care about Tibet?
I'm here representing the Swedish Tibet Committee, which is an organization that's existed since 1967, so 55 years this year, and that makes us one of the oldest Tibet support groups in the world, actually. And the Tibet issue is an ongoing struggle, and our main focus is to keep the plight of the Tibetans alive in common knowledge among the media, politicians, and people on the street. So it's a tough struggle for us. We don't get a lot of help from media, and These days, we're working very closely with the Uyghurs and also with Hong Kong representatives and Southern Mongolians also. So we support each other, and also with Gui Minhai, all manifestations for him. So supporting the Tibetans, but working closely with a lot of other groups and also internationally. So it's an honor to be here with you, Finn.
Yeah, I think so too, that it's an honor to have Finn here. And Arslan, could you tell us more about your background?
Yeah, my name is Arslan, and I come from Southern Mongolia. Yeah, so during this seminar, I want to support each other. We know about Hong Kong, what situation there, and Tibet and East Turkestan in southern Mongolia too. So actually, it is happened. Hong Kong things actually happened in 16 years ago in southern Mongolia. So still happening now. So 2020, China banned our Mongolian language. We cannot speak and learning our own language in our own land. So that is we lost our land, our culture. Just last week we lost our language. Yeah, we have nothing now. Yeah, that's happening.
Yeah, so I think the red line is that we can see that from Tibet to southern Mongolia to East Turkestan, where the Uyghurs are, and now to Hong Kong is the same. That they're trying to incorporate or assimilate actually the culture to the mainland main culture, which is Mandarin and Han Chinese. But why should we care about this? I mean, bombs are falling, people are dying, Ukraine is in war. Why is this important? Finn Lau, do you have any thinking around that?
Well, the China issue is more than human rights or these sorts of things, because it related to the national interest of so many countries, especially Sweden. Because for the last few years, or maybe last decade, China has been threatening so many democratic countries, including Sweden. They have threatened the Chinese ambassador of Sweden. They threatened the journalists. They threatened, and they even kidnapped Gui Minhai, a Swedish citizen from Thailand, to China. So they are doing so many things that is threatening the national interest of other countries, including infiltration, United Front works, and other things. For example, recently in the Sweden Stockholm Arlanda airport, they have awarded a contract to a Chinese technology firm that has been banned by the US government under the Obama government because of the security concern, because they passed all kinds of passenger information to Beijing. So this is actually the China issue is affecting everyone in the West, maybe more than the West, including maybe Japan, Korea, and other democratic countries.
So the awarded company is called New Tech. It was already blacklisted by US 2014. So it's something that is really happening here in Sweden. So what we could say, or at least my thinking is that if we don't do anything now, the next step something similar to Ukraine will happen, maybe in close to China as well. So I think we need to do some preemptive measures before.
Like in Taiwan, you mean?
Yeah, Taiwan, most likely the first offer or the first victim of the Hong Kong now. Do you have any thinking around what can we do now from Sweden to any measures we can do to prevent this?
First of all, I have to say that the money has been much more important in Sweden than what I believe. Now so China is very important in the business. The 8th biggest country we buy and sell, trade communication. So I think, I don't know, but thousands of Swedish companies, they have activities in China. So in this case, I see also that, for instance, when it's about Russia, they send some diplomats or something, but about China, it's like that. China is like untouchable. Whatever you do, whatever China does, so the people is quiet all around the world. This is a big problem. I mean, for instance, you see that what happened in Hong Kong, China has said the treaty from 1st July 1997 it's until 2049. China should, but China can maybe have some much more to say. But now China went in with the police from the mainland, and they attack Hong Kong, the freedom of Hong Kong, and they don't respect it. And for instance, Great Britain, where Finn is living now, maybe they don't do anything. They just speak. They have short statements. They say we are concerned, and every time a Western foreign minister say I am concerned, then I am concerned for that person, because it means that they will not do anything. This is so terrible. They say I am concerned, I am concerned. So in Sweden we try, for instance, to do some other things, like they have a Tibet question. It's very important. They are about 6 million, I think, Tibetans now, and people, they are burning themselves for freedom, for democracy. A single was, maybe Matthias will tell more. I will not take his speech, maybe, but a single has burned himself. Just he was like a very famous star because of the violation of the human rights in Tibet, and every time Dalai Lama comes around to Western countries, everybody likes to see him, but they don't do anything for his country, for his place. So this is also a hypocrisy, kind of. So, but in Sweden, I'm very, very disappointed, because I have been, for instance, working with the 50 other countries where they have jailed Swedish citizens, and I have always taken these people, bringing home, but not from China. It's the only country I really feel. I feel like, so it is. It's very interesting that whatever China does, so China goes free. And the other big problem is that, for instance, now I will not take so much of your time. So if they speak about Ukraine, you ask, why should we speak about Hong Kong? Because it's very easy. Because now the war is between the despotic countries like China, and the most important despotic country is China, and the democratic countries. The values of democracy, or respect for the democracy, respect for human rights, respect for parliament election, that Beijing will not send somebody like what is her name? What's it? I forget her name. Carrie Lam, to oblige to these people that this is your president, and doesn't respect that. So it is. So we must work for freedom of Hong Kong. When we work for freedom of Hong Kong, we help also Ukraine. When we help Ukraine, we help also Hong Kong.
So they're connected, right? So it's
we help also Tibet.
It's clash of civilizations.
We help also the Mongolian children to go to the school and have education in Mongolian language. You know that they have now, it was before maybe 8 hours, 10 hours per week. It's now 1 or 2 hours left. What I know, but he knows. I stopped there, sorry.
Yeah, no worries.
I spoke very much.
No, that's good. That's good. Good insights. Thank you, Kurdo. Finn, what do you think? What measures do we need to do now to countermeasure what's happening in China and in the closer regions of China?
Well, maybe I will keep my part short because I want our Tibetan and South Mongolian friends to talk more. Well, I think there are so many things that we could do, but there are different levels of sanctioning, because I think sanctioning play an important role in the fight against the CCP. So there are 3 levels. The first level is individual sanction, which is called a Magnitsky-style sanction. That is sanctioning those foreign assets of those Chinese officials or Hong Kong government officials. And then the second level would be some kind of economic sanction. And then the final level could be some kind of embargo at the export ban. While the higher the level, the more effective it will become towards the Chinese or the Beijing regime. But I think that we should start with something much easier first. That is the level 3 individual sanction. Right now in Sweden, we don't have any individual sanction or that's related to Hong Kong issue. So perhaps we should consider that. And on the EU level, this is something that we should also consider.
Arslan, what do you think? How can we help our South Mongolian friends or Mongolian friends in general in Sweden?
In Sweden.
Yeah.
Can I speak Chinese?
Yes, please. I will try to translate.
Okay. Chinese is my second language.
Yes.
Because Mongolian language just speak using and Mongolian people, friends and family. But when we go out, conversation with people, most of people is Chinese. Yeah. So we
it's the family language and the community language.
So that is a big problem in southern Mongolia.
Yeah.
19% of people are Chinese in Inner Mongolia. Just 10% Mongolians in Inner Mongolia. From 1945, Chinese controlled our land, and a lot of people invasion and moved to Mongolia, and they are living there and now. So we lost our culture. Actually, we are nomadic people. Chinese people are
the southern people.
Farmers.
Farmers. Yeah.
So we are different culture, different. All things is different. So now I can speak Chinese and fluently. So third language is my English. Is I just learned just 4 years ago. So really not pretty good. So I want to speak Chinese. So can I say?
Yes. Okay. Sorry, please start.
我想我是这么想的，因为我刚来到这里呢，就是不到2年的时间，所以我也了解了这是一个非常友好、非常这个自由的一个国家。我在这里非常的这个自由的去呼吸新鲜的空气，想说什么就可以说什么。
So he arrived 2 years ago, and it's lots of freedom. The air is here; you can breathe freely because you get the freedom of speech and everything. Yeah.
2013年的时候，我就从中国越境到蒙古国。为什么呢？因为我在那边也是把这个当地的这个殖民我们的这些情况，共产党殖民我们的这些情况，我们就把信息传输到国外，然后这个情况被他们知道了以后呢，我就被软禁了，在家里4、5年的时间不可以出去，甚至多的时候10几个警察跟我在一块生活。
So 2013, you did you
13.
13, yeah, you're 13. 2013, you started to
over the border.
Yeah, go over the border to Mongolia.
Yeah.
And you started to send out information about you.
No. Before I over the border go to Mongolia, when I was in Inner Mongolia, I sent some message to outside.
Yeah, to outside, and that's and then they detain you at your home, right?
Yeah, so I over the border went to Mongolia and been UNHCR refugee. I've been there for 7 more years in Mongolia, but they were very difficult and danger because China controlled Mongolia. They always dedicate some Inner Mongolian people, Southern Mongolian people to China. 有些时候他们就直接就蒙古的这个情报机构的人员和他们的这个警察就直接参与，把这个内蒙古的人去了以后，就是说直接从他的这个就是各种这种什么的就嫁祸给他们，就说从床底下掏出来枪啊，你有枪，就送给这个中国了。
Yeah.
So
So
you-
so yeah, they are English. You try the Chinese police or the Communist Party people. They are trying to hide weapons at your site, and then they find it
no,
out.
no,
and
no,
say,
not Chinese people.
Yeah.
Actually, they control Mongolian
Okay,
police
control.
and
Okay.
their agents.
Okay, the agents. They
Yeah,
are trying to try to so many different
嫁祸给
languages.
一些
嫁祸
就是对
我知道嫁祸是什么意思，我就是不知道英语怎么说。教禍點講啊？
I'm thinking.
Is it manipulate?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
you could say.
Yeah.
Manipulate. Oj, Mattias.
Yeah, manipulate or actually
Luras.
ja, typ.
So
Men,
your family disappears if you don't do it, sort
yeah.
of thing.
sort of thing, but it's actually he actually hasn't done it. He hasn't had weapons on site, but the Mongolian police that is cooperating with the Chinese agents, they are hiding things at your site, and then they are coming later on and say that, okay, why are you having weapons hidden? But it's actually not his weapon.
They're planting.
Yeah, so
weapons.
planting.
Planting.
Planting, that's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
That's the word. Thanks.
yeah.
It's important that it is correct. It's very
Yeah, yeah,
serious
yeah.
thing. about
It's a
guns.
very serious thing.
所以有
Yeah.
些这个人的话，就是从难民在那里有一个就是救助难民的这个UNHCR 的这个什么难民的这个难民中心，也就是联合国的难民署。所以说
Asylum for the UN asylum
SCR.
site. Yeah. Mongolia.
就是说就直接从他们院里边就抓住人就往中国送，这是很正常的事情，在中蒙古。
So they are catching people directly from the asylum site, planting things, and for people that they want to deport back to or deport to China, to what they call inner Mongolia, but it's actually southern Mongolia. So that's how they do for getting people to China and obeying Chinese laws, right?
Yeah. 但是真正的这个中国人是没有什么问题，只有蒙古人才内蒙的这个南蒙古的人去了以后才会这种情况，尤其是政治难民的这些人就是非常担心这种情况，而且是我在那里他们蒙古国就没有给我任何的这个居住证，长期居住证或者是那个短期的居住证，他们就想让我逼我回中国。我在那里不可以工作，不可以进医院，不可以学习，不可以有驾驶证，什么都没有。
So it's only happening for southern Mongolian. So with Mongolian heritage. So Han Chinese this will not happen to Han Chinese. So and when they arrive to Mongolia, they have problems searching for permit for permanent residency or residency at all. And no possibility to attend to school, get work, and so on. So it's a large problem. But how can we help from Sweden? Because we want to,
Yes.
do something. Now we understand the issues.
我非常感谢这个瑞典把我从那么危险的地方可以救到这里来，然后我在这里非常好，而且我更希望我们有很多以后中国的情况越糟的话，更多的像我这样的人到蒙古国，希望瑞典能救助更多的南蒙古的像我这样的情况的人。
Yeah, so Arslan hopes that we can help more people from southern Mongolia, but also maybe Mongolia in general, give them asylum because this is a big threat to the people there. So that would be something that Sweden could help with.
I will say something there because I'm sorry, Diane. We have a few cases. They have not, me and Matthias, we have signed them. But you have helped very much.
Yeah.
The family, the lady is from the Mongolia.
Yeah.
From
outer Mongolia,
independent country.
Yeah.
And the wife is from
the husband is.
The husband is from the other, and they have a job and everything. and the Swedish government decided, migration board decided to send them to China. So we started to help now, and I think now it is okay. We have.
It seems to be.
It looks that we had. I made a petition. We published in a newspaper, and Matthias actually is the one who has helped very much. But so I must say it. Then now they can. I think they will stay now. So it's very important that you.
Thank you.
Because I was going to speak about this.
Yeah.
But you started first. So
Yeah, and I think the first Hong Konger actually got asylum just lately in Sweden. So it's you know, something that something that is happening. And do you have asylum here, or what's your status?
My status?
Yeah.
I can stay here. And
you have permission.
Yeah.
Permission.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
So it's something that it's actually happening already. Good. Matthias, what about you? What's your experience in these questions? What can we do for Tibet as it is now?
Well, what Sweden should do is to do anything, actually. And I would like to add to what you said, Finn, about these levels of pressure we could put on China, that the first level is the threat itself, just to bring up the topics that could come into play when it comes to trade. And what we see now in East Turkestan, this is a situation that I think a dozen countries have defined as genocide. And the fact that we're still, business as usual with a country that is performing genocide in an area controlled by them, it's mind-boggling for me. And also the fact that we're sort of picking parts of the Chinese empire and saying, well, it's okay to buy, jeans and toys from this part of China. It's not made in East Turkestan where genocide is going on. But in no other situation would we do that with a country. I mean, we wouldn't buy things from a part of Rwanda that weren't involved in genocide. So again, it's an example of how we treat China so differently than all other countries. And I think the fact that Ukraine now, the invasion, is such a clear example of what happens when you just give an evil regime, the freedom to do as they want. You think that, well, we give them this and it'll be fine. But finally, Russia came and tries to take over Ukraine. And I think the same thing will happen in we've seen it in Hong Kong and probably Taiwan soon as well. And so Sweden, to go back to your question, Sweden needs to react, and when they kidnap a Swedish citizen, we can't just, have business as usual. I think it was a year after he was kidnapped, we sent a bunch of big business people to China on an official visit. Yeah, that's mind-boggling. You don't.
The Prime Minister was there also.
Yeah, the Prime Minister. So
yes, I think when we talked with the politicians, we were at the Parliament yesterday, and then Finn was there today as well. And talking with the politicians, it's actually they're talking about defining rules for trades. So for example, if we would ban all trades with countries that have genocide, if they would do that, and not specifically saying China, and other security reasons they say about sustainability and so on. Then they can, include China without saying that this is against China solely. It's actually, who is against the genocide, who is against sustainability. And then when investigating China, maybe they can say, oh, this is not a sustainable country. This is a country with genocide. And from that, giving them a push to a sanction that was not formed as a sanction, but actually as a trade rule. So I think there's a lot of different tools for doing this. But we as activists, of course, we want hard sanctions, right? We want to know the results. Yeah.
But I like to say just a small thing that the Western countries, they have always said that if we just have trade with China, so China will respect human rights and freedom of press and freedom of speech. And the same politics they had with Russia. So if we make business with them, we have companies there because money make people much more intellectual and good. But we have seen in China and Russia that this is not the way, because these despotic countries, they use trade to oppress their inhabitants much more.
Yeah.
So we should be very careful when we say that, many people say the trade makes people much more open-minded.
Yeah.
But I am not sure that they are thinking like this in Beijing with the
I think it was
party.
the liberal influence with trade, but it's
Normally it's
proven. It's proven it's that it's not always that the receiving countries actually getting liberal because of the trade. And then we have both Russia and China as good examples of that.
Or Hungary, for instance, or Poland, same problem.
So what strategy? I mean, it's not only the people that we are talking that is suffering under this. It's actually Chinese people is actually suffering. It's not all of them is actually supporting this. So how can we, help China to change? Is that possible, or is there any strategies for that?
Well, the Chinese population is not our target. Our target must be the Chinese Communist Party. So I think the reasonable way is to drain the financial resources and the economic power of the party itself. And how to do that? Well, we have to reduce our dependency on the Chinese market, and then alongside with some kind of other measure like a sanction. But first of all, we need to reduce our dependency. Otherwise, our hands would be tied to do other things.
So decoupling of the Chinese market, or maybe decoupling of authoritarian states, and then China will be included in that, and Russia.
Definitely. Yeah.
Maybe not making an Olympic Games in Beijing. It would be a good idea, but it's too late now. Maybe.
Yeah, it's a past thing.
So it's the international community. They help China. Actually, they do everything for them. I mean, this is how can they have Olympic Games there with these kind of after Hong Kong, after Tibet, after Mongolian, other things. So I don't understand. It's like that now they will have football World Cup, I think, in Qatar. And this is also so crazy. So I mean, that's why I said that we must now have. There are two kind of countries in the world. The first one, they give life and breathe to their inhabitants. The other, they take their lives. And China is one of these countries. So if you don't listen to me, you must be in jail and you will be killed. So we cannot accept that 2022. So we must in the sport. The sanctions you said, I just like to continue your trace what you started. So economic sanctions are good, but China has a lot of money, so this is also a problem. It's not easy to use instruments against the China Communist Party because they have so much money, so much gold, you cannot imagine. So the other thing, but the prestige of for them is the most important, not losing the face. This maybe they say better in Chinese. This the face. The face is that if you say, okay, you cannot have sport, we don't work with you in sports, in culture, and other things. So it would be much more, or we don't have after Hong Kong. If we lived in a normal European Union, if they had a little bit honor, a little bit self-respect, every country in European Union could take back their ambassador at the same second from Beijing, and that would be something very important. But they just say we are concerned about what happens in Hong Kong now, and they sit and drink coffee and tea with Mr. Xi Jinping.
I think one angle is that we have the Western, the free countries and its economy, and then we have the authoritarian countries and its economy. And then historically, the free countries has been so much bigger in terms of economy, but the authoritarian countries, they are catching up now. So again, how can we make sure that the authoritarian countries do not make their own because there are many now. They have lots of people, lots of countries. So how can we do this without hurting our economies? Do you have any ideas?
Well, it's hard to know where to start, but I think this is the start to have the dialogue to bring this up. And there's so much negative in the situation with China, but what I see as sort of a positive is the conflict in Ukraine, the fact that the world is coming together on one cause and saying that this is not right, and telling Russia to stop what it's doing. This might be a door opening for people to start thinking in similar terms that what China is doing is not right, and to start putting the same pressure on China that we're putting on Russia in such a situation. So I think the dialogue is a start to get people active, and then media is not doing its job, so we have to get that.
I think we can do a lot without, hard clashing with China. The first thing we do, because if we hurt our economy, it's actually gonna backfire as well. Because we need to become, more powerful than the others.
Yes.
It's a struggle between two great powers, and I think we need to, start finding our own raw materials, finding our own source of manufacturing. We cannot rely everything on China. So it's not only stop trading with them; it's actually building up our own capabilities.
And besides building the capacity or the capability of Sweden, I think many countries should consider what is the meaning of globalization. And I think true globalization should be relying on a group of trading partners. That could be an African country, could be India, could be a Southeast Asian country. So instead of rather than relying on a single assertive gigantic trading partner, there's the PRC. So this is something that we should push for as well.
Yes, and we should stop to buy cheap things from China, because everybody say, okay, it's cheap, we buy from China. In internet they are sitting and so, but the cheap costs a lot of money. But on the other side, there are a lot of blood and other things, so they have to think.
Humanitarian cost,
of course,
environmental cost.
The cotton they have now in many clothes from China is from Xinjiang, East Turkestan. The people are working in the concentration camp, and we are buying this cheap. It's really in Orleans, for instance, and as Maurits, you have these things here. They and when we were speaking about this. They closed maybe 50 of them, I think, in China last year. How could they criticize in Sweden us? How can they speak about Uyghurs? So and then the Swedish company, they just shut up. Nobody shows any feelings, they closed about 50 of their companies, and the director and nobody said anything, because they like to continue to make trade there and make money in China. And this is very, very much worrying. And I have also to say something else is very interesting. It's a very difficult game. That you say that if you make trade, then the people which will have much more better economically in these countries like China. We make money, and the people. I am very happy that Mr. Hu and so have good 2 children and good life and so. On the other side. When they have, but the government say that okay, you will have a job, you will make money, but don't speak. Freedom of speech, you don't have it. And when this is also it's important to tell to the people what is the consequence of when we say trade, what does it mean? So we have to see the details, because of this family have good car, go to. Everywhere in Paris and London, you see a lot of Chinese people going around with taking photos. They are rich people, the new rich people. We accept or not. And so when they become much more rich, they are happy with Communist Party also. So we are in a very difficult. We have to think how we will, because and now. My last thing, I will not take much more. When we say in Shanghai and Beijing, this corona-related problem. And now we have heard that people protest, and maybe because of that, the hospitals, they don't have so many beds. So good, it was a kind of myth that China, the health system is fantastic, and it is not so. And maybe this will be problem for Xi Jinping. So before I forget, I like to say
so I think I have a last big question. It's about the Chinese state, CCP. So we're talking about different strategies, how we can countermeasure. But what scenario would lead to the collapse of CCP? How would it collapse? Do you have any thinking of a scenario where it actually will collapse and something else will born out of it?
Oh, well, 50 years ago, many people would say that maybe the collapse of the USSR is a dream. But in the end, we know the history. It collapsed in the end because of the correct strategy adopted by different democratic countries. So if we could adopt some correct strategies, for example, sanctioning, reducing dependency, and other things, then perhaps we could witness the collapse of the CCP, maybe say in 15 years or 10 years, we don't know. And then another key is that I think it's just a matter of time that the PRC will invade Taiwan. If Taiwan could successfully defend themselves, if we could help them to defend themselves, then we may see the partial or even total collapse of the CCP, because this is a huge loss to the CCP in the end. So that could happen.
Okay, so using trade, but also to use Taiwan
Not use Taiwan,
or help Taiwan.
Not use.
We help Taiwan. We're together, of course.
It must be diplomatic here.
Yeah. And do you have any other thinking around this?
In a short time, if you ask me what can happen 2022, I would say maybe this corona problem will be a big problem for Xi Jinping. We have underestimated the problem. So maybe it can be something that Xi Jinping maybe lose his power. I don't mean that the China Communist Party, but in the long term, I also believe that something with an external factor, something outside. I don't think that the Chinese Communist Party has many years left. So, but I cannot say why.
So I think that what Xi Jinping has done is to focus all the power to him. Of course, that's what he has been doing, and he's giving himself another so-called election and term, and this is unprecedented. So it has happened only during the time of Mao, and they had these countermeasures against the terms, because they don't want to have one president with too much power, even in the Communist Party. But he's taking away all the different security measures around that. And maybe there is actually, I think, maybe there is an opposition that do not want him to stay in the power, but is silent currently. So we'll see what happens. I think we have talked a lot now, almost 1 hour. So thank you all. Do you want to have any ending comments?
No.
Before we end here? Thanks a lot, and thanks you for watching us. This will be on YouTube. It will be able to watch it afterwards as well. Thank you for watching. See you again.